Has your dog ever growled at someone who seemed totally fine to you? But what if that wasn't just a random reaction? In the next 30 seconds, you'll learn 3 signs that your dog might actually recognize a bad person and a quick at-home test to see it for yourself. If your dog steps back when someone walks toward you, that's not fear, it's protection. If they stare silently without barking, they're analyzing the person's scent and voice for danger. And if they refuse a treat from just one person, that's the clearest red flag. They don't trust them. Try it. Ask a few friends to offer your dog their favorite snack. If they turn their head away, you've got your answer. Now let's dive into the science behind this incredible ability and what it could reveal about the people around you. So let's start with one of the most powerful behaviors your dog shows, one that science now confirms isn't just instinct, but a form of silent judgment. Number 1. They know when someone is mean. It might look like your dog is just sitting there calm and quiet, watching someone interact with you, but inside their brain is firing, calculating, judging. And the science behind this is as fascinating as it is a little unsettling. In a study published in the Journal of Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews, researchers set up a simple but brilliant test. They had dog owners try to open a sealed container while an actor stood beside them. In one case, the actor helped. In another, they just stood there doing nothing. And in the third, they flat out refused to help. Now here's where it gets interesting. After these little scenes, the actor who had just played their role, helpful, passive, or mean, offered the dog a treat. What do you think happened? The dogs gladly accepted the treat from the helpful one. They even took it from the neutral one most of the time. But the one who had refused to help? The mean one. Many of the dogs simply turned away. No growl, no bark, just a silent rejection. Like they were saying, "You didn't help my person. I don't want anything from you." Let that sink in for a second, because this isn't about training. These weren't guard dogs. This wasn't about territory. These were everyday pets, silently judging how someone treated their human. And it raises the question, how many times has your dog made that kind of decision without you even realizing? Maybe that's why sometimes your dog barks at the friend who's just loud, or avoids the neighbor who means well. Maybe your dog saw something you missed. But this isn't just about bad behavior. It's about intention. Your dog isn't reacting to what someone says. They're responding to what someone shows. And they're doing it with a kind of quiet loyalty we don't always deserve. So what happens when that loyalty gets tested? What if someone lies to your dog, not in words, but in action? Well, that's where things get even more interesting. Let's talk about trust. Or more specifically, how your dog can detect a liar, and what they do when someone breaks that trust. Number 2, they refuse to trust liars. We like to believe that dogs are simple food, love, play, repeat. But when it comes to trust, they might be more complicated than we are. In a study out of Japan, researchers ran an experiment that started out harmless enough. A person pointed to a container hiding a treat, and the dog happily followed and found it. Easy. Then they did it again, but this time the person pointed to an empty container. The dog followed and found nothing. Now here's where it gets brilliant. On the third try, the person pointed again to the container with the treat. But the dog didn't move. They didn't trust the person anymore. One lie was enough. Think about that. Think, not only did the dog remember what happened, they used it to make a decision. No barking, no drama, just quiet refusal. Like they were saying, "Fool me once, and I won't follow you again." Now ask yourself this: how many people in your life have earned your dog's silence? Because here's the thing, we lie all the time. In small ways. We say we're fine when we're not. We smile when we're nervous. We act polite when deep down we're uneasy. But your dog? They're not listening to what's said. They're picking up on everything else. The tone of your voice, the tension in your hands, the way someone lingers just a little too long, and when someone lies not even to them, but to you, they notice. And once that trust is broken, they don't forget. Ever. But trust isn't just about words or actions. Sometimes it's about something even more personal, something invisible to us, but unforgettable to them. Because there's one thing your dog will never stop recognizing, no matter how much time has passed. Let's talk about scent, and why your smell means everything to your dog. Number 3. They never forget your scent. It's strange, isn't it? We look in the mirror and see our face getting older, changing. But to your dog, your face barely matters. Because what they remember, what they love, is your scent. Not your perfume, not your shampoo. The real you. The way your skin smells when you're tired. The way your shirt holds onto your heartbeat after a long day. That's what they hold on to. That's what they'd recognize after months or years apart. In a brain scan study at Emory University, scientists exposed dogs to 5 different scents: strangers, familiar people, other dogs. But when the scent of their owner hit their nose, something remarkable happened. The pleasure center of their brain lit up. The same part that lights up in humans when we see someone we love walk into a room. To your dog, your scent is home. That's why they wait by the door when you're gone. Why they curl up with your slipper, your pillow, your old shirt. It's not a quirk. It's memory. It's longing. And when that scent disappears for too long, they know. Not in the way we explain grief, but in the quietest, deepest way. A shift in the air, a piece of the world missing, and no one to tell them why. It's no wonder some dogs refuse to eat when their person doesn't come back. Or how others sit by the door for weeks after a goodbye. They're not confused. They're remembering everything. Because dogs don't just love us. They archive us, our routines, our moods, our scent. And sometimes, the memory of you is all they have left. But what about the people they don't know? The ones who smile wide, but something about them isn't right. Well, your dog doesn't need years to make that call. Sometimes, they just need a single look. Let's talk about how they read what's written all over a stranger's face, even when we can't. Number 4. They read what's written on your face. You think you're hiding it well. That quick flash of worry. That second of discomfort when someone enters the room. You smile, maybe even laugh. But your dog, he already saw everything. In a study from Austria, dogs were shown images of human faces, some angry, some happy. The dogs had been trained to nudge the screen when they saw a certain expression. But here's the twist. When they were shown completely new faces, unfamiliar people, the dogs still got it right. They knew which faces were safe and which ones weren't. Even more fascinating. Before the training ever began, the dogs showed a clear pattern. They avoided angry faces altogether. No cue, no command, just instinct. That means your dog isn't just reacting to how someone talks or moves. They're reading micro-expressions, subtle shifts around the eyes, the tightness in a jaw, the tension in a mouth forced to smile. They see it all. And more importantly, they remember it. Ever notice how your dog stays close when you're genuinely laughing, but keeps a little distance when you're pretending to be okay? That's not coincidence. That's pattern recognition. Your emotions have a scent, yes, but they also have a look. And your dog's been studying yours for years. So when someone shows up wearing the wrong smile, or with eyes that don't match their words, your dog will know. And here's the thing, sometimes we're not ready to admit what we feel. But your dog, he already has, quietly, without needing to say a word. But how? How can they read us this well without ever being taught? The answer is in their nose. Because the truth is, your dog smells more than danger. They smell intention. And they smell it long before you do. Number 5. They smell what you don't say. You can fake a smile. You can say you're fine. But your dog, he's already smelled the truth. Here's what most people forget. Your body leaks emotion. Not metaphorically, literally. When you feel stress, anger, fear, your body releases chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. They come out through your skin, your sweat, your breath. You can't see it, but your dog can smell it. In fact, their nose is up to 100,000 times more sensitive than yours. To a dog, fear doesn't look like a face. It smells like a warning. So when someone walks into your home and your dog suddenly stiffens, it's not just the person they're reacting to. It might be you. Because even if you smile, if your heartbeat shifts, if your palms sweat just a little, if there's the slightest tension in your shoulders, your dog knows. They smell your unease before you realize it yourself. And when someone triggers that reaction in you even subconsciously, your dog connects the dots. They might bark, step between you, growl. Not because they hate that person, but because they're responding to the chemical version of your fear. It's protective, it's primal, it's not learned, it's love with a purpose. And the science backs it up. In a 2022 study, dogs were exposed to sweat from people experiencing high stress. Their behavior changed almost immediately, more alert, more cautious, more reactive. They knew something was wrong. So the next time your dog stiffens when someone visits or barks a little too sharply at a stranger, don't scold them. Ask yourself, what is my body telling my dog that my words are not? But your dog doesn't stop at emotions. They don't just respond to how someone feels, but to how someone moves. Because now it's time to talk about what your dog sees when people walk into a room. Not the clothes, not the smile, but the shape of their intentions. Number 6. They read the room and the body that walks in. You see a handshake. Your dog sees a storm system. To them, every person carries a weather pattern. Some walk in like sunshine, relaxed shoulders, slow movements, open palms. Others arrive like a cold front, tense, clipped steps, eyes that scan instead of settle. And your dog. He doesn't just notice, he calculates. Dogs are masters of body language, not because we taught them, but because for thousands of years their survival depended on it. Before leashes, before bowls, before beds, dogs lived and died by what they could read in a glance. Was that animal going to lunge or lie down? Was that human about to give food or throw a rock? That instinct hasn't gone anywhere. So when someone steps into your space too stiff, too still, too smooth, your dog's body reads it like Braille. Every twitch, every angle, every breath. They're not just seeing movement. They're feeling motive. And sometimes even before a hand is raised or a voice is heard, your dog makes their choice. They step forward, or they pull back. Because posture is a promise, and energy is a language your dog speaks fluently. You might think he's just being protective, but what if he's being precise? What if that growl isn't about territory, but about a signal your body missed? Dogs don't need words. They need truth. And the way someone moves speaks louder than anything they say. So the next time your dog locks eyes with someone and plants their feet just a little firmer between you, don't brush it off. Ask yourself what kind of storm just walked in. But your dog's radar doesn't stop at people. There's something else they track. Something deeper, darker, quieter. Because the same nose that smells your stress can smell your cells. Let's talk about what happens when your dog picks up on something even you can't feel yet. Something happening inside your body. Number 7. They smell what's killing you before you do. Imagine walking through your house and everything feels normal. You're smiling, breathing, laughing, but deep inside your body something's wrong. Cells are shifting. A storm is forming beneath the surface. And your dog, he already knows. Long before the doctors, before the tests, before the pain. Your dog's nose has already picked up the quiet whisper of danger. In a study from the University of California, dogs were trained to sniff out cancer, yes, cancer, simply by smelling breath, urine, or skin swabs. And they didn't just try, they succeeded, with up to 98% accuracy in some cases. To your dog, sickness has a scent. Not loud, not obvious, but just enough to change the way they sit next to you, or the way they sniff your hands at night, or how they suddenly insist on pressing their head against your chest again and again and again. It's not comfort. It's a warning. Some dogs have been known to wake up their diabetic owners moments before a blood sugar crash. Others bark wildly before a seizure. Some just sit and stare, like they're watching something no one else can see. Because they are. They're watching the body shift, smelling the chemicals realign, hearing the silence between your heartbeats. They're not just pets. They're early warning systems wrapped in fur and love and loyalty. And they don't do it for praise, or treats, or training. They do it because you are theirs. And when something threatens what's theirs, they act. But sometimes the danger doesn't come from inside you. Sometimes it comes from someone else's past, etched into their scent, hidden in their energy. And your dog catches it before you can even feel it. Let's talk about what happens when your dog meets another dog and suddenly becomes someone you don't recognize. Because there's a reason he barks at some dogs, and not others. And it's not random, not even close. Number 8. They bark at ghosts. You can't see you're walking down the street. The sun is out. The leash is loose. Everything feels calm until your dog freezes. Another dog is approaching. Nothing aggressive. No raised hackles. Just another pup out for a walk. But suddenly, your dog growls low. Ears pinned, body tense. A warning not to them, to you. And you wonder why this dog. They've passed a dozen others today, without a sound. But here's the truth. Your dog already knows. Not all dogs wear their stories on the outside. Some carry scars invisible to us, etched in scent, hidden in posture, buried in history. And your dog. He recognizes the pattern. Maybe it's the shape of the shoulders. Maybe it's the way the other dog holds their gaze just a second too long. Maybe it's the smell of a past fight buried deep in the coat. Your dog doesn't need a reason that makes sense to you. He just needs a reason that feels true. Because dogs remember, not just faces or names, but feelings. They remember what danger felt like, what fear smelled like, what betrayal sounded like in another dog's growl. So if your dog once got attacked by a brown shepherd with stiff legs and a tense jaw, every dog that even remotely echoes that memory becomes a threat. Not because he's afraid, but because he's prepared. And here's the thing, they don't just do this with other dogs. They do it with people too. Your dog builds a memory map out of everything: scent, tone, body language, even your own reactions. Every interaction becomes data, every bark a decision. And when something doesn't match the map, your dog doesn't hesitate. They speak the only way they know how. So the next time your dog growls not at a person but at a moment, don't brush it off. You might be hearing the echo of something you never saw coming. But if dogs can remember pain, they also remember kindness. Which brings us to something even more mysterious: a hidden radar honed by survival, sharpened by need. Because even the dogs with no home, no collar, no past, seem to know exactly who to trust. Let's talk about those dogs, the ones that have nothing, but still know how to choose the right human. Number 9. Even strays know who deserves their trust. No leash, no name tag, no bed to return to. Just a heartbeat on 4 legs navigating a world that doesn't always care. You've seen them, those dogs that drift along the edges of cities, sleeping behind dumpsters, watching from behind parked cars. No one calls their name, no one fills their bowl. And yet, somehow, they know exactly who to walk toward. A woman crouches down, and the stray inches closer. A man leaves a sandwich on the sidewalk, and the dog gently takes it. Not from everyone, just from them. Why? Because even without a home, a stray dog still reads people like pages in a book. In a recent study out of India, scientists followed free-ranging dogs in crowded urban neighborhoods. They noticed that these dogs weren't just wandering, they were watching. They remembered the people who fed them, who spoke kindly, who slowed down instead of shouting. And within just a few encounters, the dogs began to follow those people. No command, no training. Just quiet recognition. As if they were saying, "You, I trust." It's easy to think that only our pets have this ability, that somehow living with humans gives them that emotional radar. But the truth is, dogs don't learn how to sense kindness. They're born with it. They carry it like a compass in their chest, spinning quietly until it lands on someone safe. And when it does, something shifts. The tail lowers, the shoulders relax, the eyes soften. That unspoken moment when a dog decides, "I choose you." And that choice, it's not random. It's built from 1,000 subtle signs: the way you walk, the tone in your voice, the stillness in your hands. So the next time a stray approaches you, not for food, but for closeness, pay attention. Because that dog saw something in you before you even knew it was there. But there's more. Because what if your dog could sense danger? Not from others, but from within you. Not sickness, not sadness, but something deeper. Something buried in your past and waiting to rise. Let's talk about how some dogs, just by breathing your breath, can sense when a nightmare is about to begin, before it ever does. Number 10. They smell the storm. Before it breaks, you feel it building like thunder behind your ribs. The silence before the memory hits. That tight pull in your chest when the world suddenly feels too loud, too close, too much. But before the flashback comes, your dog moves. They look up, step closer. Sometimes they press their head against your chest. Sometimes they just stare, waiting, as if they know something's about to shift. Because they do. In a groundbreaking study from Dalhousie University, scientists found that dogs can detect the chemical changes in human breath that occur before a PTSD flashback. Not during, not after, before. Think about that. Your body gives off a signal, a whisper, a warning, and your dog picks it up like static in the air. Not because they understand trauma, but because they understand you. To them, you're not just a person. You're a pattern, a rhythm, a scent they've memorized down to the molecules, and when that rhythm falters even slightly, they respond. Not with panic, but with presence. Some dogs nudge, some whine, some won't let you walk out the door. It's not stubbornness, it's instinct. They are intercepting the storm. And it's not just PTSD. Dogs have shown signs of predicting anxiety attacks, fainting spells, even nightmares. They don't wait until you collapse. They lean in before you fall. Because they are not reacting. They are protecting. And that kind of protection, it's not trained, it's chosen. So if you've ever wondered why your dog gets clingy for no reason, or suddenly won't leave your side on certain nights, maybe it's not random. Maybe they've smelled the shadow coming before you've even seen it. But if dogs can sense fear, trauma, even danger inside us, what else can they recognize in the people around us? What if the dog beside you can see through someone before that person ever says a word? Let's look at how your dog becomes a mirror for human character. And what happens when someone fails their silent test. Number 11. They judge character. Without words or warning, some people walk into a room and everyone smiles. Their voice is warm. Their hands are steady. Their story sounds right. But your dog doesn't smile. He stares, quiet, still, watching. And then he chooses. Maybe he walks away. Maybe he stiffens. Maybe he plants himself between you and that person like a gate that doesn't budge. No bark, no growl, just a verdict. Because your dog doesn't care about stories, or smiles, or charm. He reads something deeper in tension, and he reads it instantly. It's like he's holding a compass no one else can see. One that doesn't point north, but true. And when someone steps into your space, your dog watches that needle. If it swings just slightly, he knows. Dogs have an uncanny way of sensing not just danger, but dishonesty. That tension between what someone says and what they are. It's not magic. It's not superstition. It's chemistry, body language, micro-movements, the flick of a fake smile, the hesitation in a step, the scent of uncertainty. All the things we've been trained to overlook. Your dog catches them like a breath of wind. And once he decides someone doesn't pass the test, there's no going back. He won't take the treat, won't wag the tail, won't look them in the eye. Because to your dog, trust is not something earned with a handshake. It's something measured in instinct. And when that instinct says no, you should listen. Because your dog doesn't gossip, doesn't speculate, doesn't lie. He just knows. So when he growls at the man who's all smiles, or refuses to sit near the neighbor who means well, maybe he's not overreacting. Maybe he's just being honest. The kind of honest only a creature who's never pretended can be. And if you ever doubted that, then maybe it's time to stop asking, "What's wrong with my dog?" and start asking, "What did he see that I missed?" Because this isn't just about dogs sensing bad people. It's about dogs loving us so much. They protect us from the things we don't want to believe. Now, let's bring all of this home. Because your dog's not just warning you. He's waiting for you to trust him back. Number 12. The one who always knew. By now, you've probably remembered a moment. Maybe it was the friend your dog never warmed up to. The night he paced before your diagnosis. The morning he refused to eat after someone didn't come home. And suddenly, it all makes sense. Because while we've spent years trying to train our dogs to listen to us, they've been spending every second listening to the world around us. They've been watching, sensing, protecting, not just from the obvious, but from the quiet dangers, the subtle shifts, the lies we tell ourselves when we want to believe the best, and yet they never turn away. Even when we ignore their warnings, even when we hush their growls, even when we say, "Come on, it's fine. He's a good guy," they stay. Because dogs aren't just protectors. They're the last honest witness in a room full of noise. The quiet heartbeat behind your feet. The only one who sees the whole picture and still chooses you. So here's the truth most people miss. Your dog isn't reacting to the world. He's reading it for you. Every bark, every pause, every sideways glance, it's not random. It's a message. The question is, are you ready to listen? Because when your dog growls at someone, he's not just sensing danger, he's inviting you to pay attention. And when he refuses a treat, backs away from a smile, or plants himself like a silent shield, he's saying, "I've got you," even when you don't see it coming. So, maybe, it's time to trust the one who's never lied. Not once, not ever. Because long before science proved it, your dog already knew, and he was just waiting for you to believe him. By now, you've probably remembered a moment. That one time your dog wouldn't go near someone. That one night he stood at your door, quiet, unmoving, waiting. Or maybe the way he sat beside you long before the doctor gave anything a name. Because the truth is, your dog has always been more than a companion. He's been your silent witness, your guardian, your truth detector wrapped in fur and loyalty and the kind of love that never needs to be explained. And still, we often miss it. We doubt the growl. We distract the bark. We tell ourselves he's just being weird today. But he isn't. He's speaking in the only language he has, and he's hoping that this time you'll listen. Because dogs don't waste energy. They don't pretend. They don't fake love. And they never warn you unless it matters. So when he turns away from someone, when he refuses that hand, when he sits between you and a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, he's not just guessing. He's choosing. He's protecting. He's asking you to see what he sees. And when you finally do, you'll never look at another growl the same way again. So if this video opened your eyes, if it reminded you of something your dog once did that you couldn't explain, or if deep down you know they've always seen more than you realized, then let's not stop here. Subscribe for more stories that go beneath the surface about dogs, science, loyalty, and the silent language between species. Because the next time your dog stares into someone's soul, you'll want to know exactly what he's telling you. And we'll be right here to help you hear it.